6 years ago, one of the videos was published on Terrence Howard's hypothesis by the YouTube channel OxfordUnion, which is now going viral everywhere. Terrence Howard, an Oscar nominated actor, is also renowned for his fascinating and unconventional theories about reality. His ideas push the boundaries of traditional scientific thought, delving into the fundamental nature of the universe, matter, and energy. There in Oxford, Terrence Howard explains and addresses a lot of questions regarding the flower of life and defects in our mathematics. He started with a 6,000-year-old secret called the flower of life, which is the oldest symbol that can be found in the Temple of Osiris in Egypt and forbidden temples in China. According to him, many scientists like Da Vinci, Newton, Einstein, and Pythagoras were profoundly trying to uncover the secret of the symbol. They got stuck because they viewed it as a two-dimensional plane. Scientists couldn't unveil the secret of the flower of life because they were misled by straight lines, but they could have considered it as a curve. Here's a video where Howard talks about the flower of life.
Are there any straight lines? If you look at anything, there are no straight lines. That's been the mistake. We've been looking at these straight lines, this Euclidean way of thinking, and missing the curvature of nature. So here we are, back with the curvature of nature. And you have all these little pieces. Now, this has always been an information system. So compare some of these points. Take a point here and say, well, what's the space in between all of these things? Now, they've said that all the in-between spaces, if this is the Earth and this is the moon right here, all this in-between space is filled with what? A void. There's nothing in the void. Well, I found that there is something in the void. The elementary fundamental particles that they've been searching for at the CERN collider, the Hadron Collider in CERN, I found that their energy signatures matched perfectly to some of the pieces that I was able to pull out of here.
He said that he figured out 7 different fundamental particles and secondary generational particles which can unify the theory of the universe. Here's another video in which he explains about the flower of life with a visualization.
They began to average the space where the circles overlap. So that tetrahedron that we see, because we know that there are no straight lines because all energy has an equal and opposite. Let's pause it for a second, just so I can repeat that. All energy is expressed in motion, all motion expressed in waves, and all waves are curved. Therefore, it is impossible to create a straight line because every action has the equal and opposite reaction, and the greater that reaction, the greater the resistance and the greater that curvature. This curvature is the equanimity of all the interactions within a particular system. It all balances out into these perfect spheres, which are magnetic fields around each other, which is a discharging aspect. And where these magnetic fields interact, this is where electricity begins. Where they overlap, they're forced to create spin. But 6,000 years ago, they said they're going to average the spin, and these toroidals are happening, and they generated straight lines and approximated where the energy goes, so you can keep playing it. And now you can clearly see that even the cube, where we get Pythagorean theorem from, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, is an average. It's an approximation. But most of our math is our algebra, our calculus. All of those things are generated through this circumstance, which also led into why 1 times 1 could not possibly equal 1, because what if you made each side of those lengths 1? Then you couldn't get the proper hypotenuse. So all of these problems arose from them creating straight lines where there were no straight lines. And this has been called, the greatest discovery, basically, in geometry and for mathematics.
He also explains the loop by providing a defect in our mathematics. For example, if you take the number 2, find its square root, cube it, divide it by 2, cube it again, divide it by 2, and continue this process endlessly, it will return a number that remains the same every time. Here's his video on this.
Okay, now I want you to put in 2 and square root it. 2, hit the square root, you'll get 1.414,213,562,373,095, dot, 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 right? Now I want you guys to do me a favor, cube it. It'll see right over there, it'll be x to the 3. Can y'all do it? Have you cubed it? It'll see 2.828, 4271, 2174, 6190. Now that makes sense. I want you guys to do me a favor, divide it by 2. Get that number? Cube it again. Divide it by 2, cube it again, and I want you to do that until the end of your lives. And that number will still come up with 2.828, 4271, 2174, 6190. Any other number that you, above 2, that you put in and you cube and you square, cube and square and divide by 2, by the 6th operation, it has moved into an exponential number that you can't even imagine. Any number below 2 that you do that same operation with, it will go into an exponentially small matter and number. This is what we call a loop. It is illogical, it doesn't make sense, and it does not make math make sense.
After that, one of the students asked about the harmonic wave resequencing and how that could possibly solve cancer or genetic elements and its progress. Here's how he addresses these questions.
Simple. Our DNA is made up of what? 5 elements, right? Hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and oxygen. Do you know how they're arranged? The phosphorus sits right here in the middle, and you've got 4 oxygen atoms surrounding it. Then there's another phosphorus, 2 more oxygen atoms. Now these are the legs of that double helix. These are the legs. Now the latter steps on it, they become the adenine, the guanine, the cytosine, and thymine, the ATCGs. It turns out hydrogen, they used to think that energy, the body transferred or understood the energy information through electricity. They're finding out it's through frequency. Well, guess what hydrogen sounds like? It's the key of E. Guess what, and it's the color yellow. That's what proper physics gets you to. Oxygen is a chartreuse, and it's the key of F over F sharp. Now they used to, like I said, information used to be thought about as just electrical information passing on. But I got a question for you. Have you ever been at a party with some of your friends you ain't seen in 10 years, but y'all was like 14, you hung out and there's a song that came on and you was like, ah, and everybody got up and was live at that moment. Now say 10 years later you got a friend with you, he's a good guy, but he wasn't there when me and my boys formed this. So when that song comes on, our DNA tightens. There's a particular song, a scale in the genomes for each and every one of us. Now when that song is played, when your particular prime resonant frequency is played, guess what happens? Your DNA celebrates and tightens. Everything else gets pushed out. Harmonic wave resequencing. The carbon is also the key of E in yellow. The nitrogen is G. And all these play a song. So say that the F over F sharps of the oxygen, the green, is only hitting at an F. Why? Because there's another frequency coming in from a generator over there. That's changing and causing it to change. So this F now hits the oxygen, and when it hits, the F hits the carbon, so instead of hitting as an F sharp, it hits as an F, so when it hits the carbon at an E, it doesn't hit it quite right, so the domino don't file right. So the next domino hits wrong, and so now we have malformation happening within our DNA because the frequencies are being pushed off. But when we hear our tone, we tighten back up. So yeah, I'm in the process of building the harmonic wave resequencer with another doctor who has been able to successfully cure AIDS and cancer.
He says that radio frequencies can be used to treat cancer without affecting any other part of the body, potentially restoring DNA to its original form. If this hypothesis is correct and succeeds, it would be the greatest invention in human history. After that, he faced a lot of opposition to his number theory. He addressed one question, explaining that according to his logic, 1 times 1 equals 2, which means 1 times 0 equals 1. Here's the video on how he addresses this question.
Equals 1. Well, that's what we were saying with the identity principle, the identity property. It says that 1 times nothing equals nothing. So now you have the laws of physics have to now adjust because something just disappeared. Conservation of energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed. So if 1 times 0 equals 0, then what happened to the energy of the 1? Isn't that the same problem that Stephen Hawking was talking about with the event horizon and the information going in and still being present? That conflict that was started? Well, that's because of the math. The principles in the math are not founded on truth. It's not founded on substance. The identity principle, anything times 0 is 0 and anything times 1 is 1. Where is that number? Where is that exemplified in nature or in universal phenomena?
Terrence Howard beautifully presents his hypothesis on the secrets of the universe, number theory, and DNA resequencing in this video. Similarly, Joe Rogan's latest podcast with Terrence Howard is going viral, where he explains his hypothesis on the periodic table, the flower of life, defects in mathematics, and more. However, it is certain that he will have to tackle a lot of questions and opposition. Do you believe in Howard's hypothesis? Please share your views and opinions in the comment section.
You know what's interesting? In 1856, a man from Liverpool named Richard Dover Statter challenged the Dewey Decimal System and said that it was wrong and created an entirely new system to show how it can be brought into correction. So I'm not the first person to state this. It's a number of people did it, but look up Richard Dover Statter. Try and find him. You won't find him because he's been erased from history almost. But